All right, practice test number 11. Getting close to the end. Number 1 and 2 and 3 are all arithmetic, and those formulas will be on the board for you. And you're just going to need to use them. Explicit is this one with the a(n) and the n minus 1. There you go, first term. Don't forget that's your first term, not -6, that's the zero term. Plus n minus 1 times d. D is 7, that's what they're adding every time. Distribute the 7, which I did there, add the 1 and -7. Good idea to check it, like plug 2 in or 3 in and make sure you get what you're supposed to. Also do recursive. Recursive, remember this means the next term is the previous term plus d, or plus 7 in this case. That's all you do, but also don't forget to put what the first term is. Number 2, same kind of deal. Number 2, they gave you the recursive. It says the next term is the previous term plus 5. They told you where to start. The zero term is 6. And since they say that the next term is the previous term plus 5, they're adding 5. Add 5, add 5, add 5. Keeps on going. To write that out, there's the formula. The first term is 11, not 6, because 6 was the zero term. Plus n minus 1 times 5. Distribute the 5, and get this. Add your 11 negative 5, you get 6. And there it is. And you can check that one too. Number 3. Remember, when you graph in arithmetic, you should get a perfectly straight line. Perfectly straight line. So what I would do here, a couple of things you could do. First thing you could do is you could plug in 1 and see what you get first, which would be, I got a 3. You could plug in 2 and you get a 5. Once you see the pattern keeps going. They're going to keep adding 2. Because right there's a difference. Like there's your first term. That's the other way to do it. That's your first term, the 3. That's your D, which is 2. So just keep adding. You should get a nice perfectly straight line. The way you graph it, remember, the first term is 3, so you go 1, 3. The second term is 5, you go 2, 5. Third term is 7, 3, 7. Just keep going that way. Number 4 turns into geometric. You got to write both forms again. That's the form that's explicit. What you need is the first term, which is 1,000. You need R. The way you get R, remember, second over first, which is 100 over 1,000, which is 0.1 to the minus 1 power. That's it. Recursive, you do the next term is R times the previous term. R was 0.1, so just put it right there. And again, don't forget to tell what your first term was. Number 5, when you graph a geometric, it should be a steep curve. The way I did this one is, start here, it says start with 0, so plug 0 in there. Don't forget that anything to the 0 power is 1. 1 times a half is a half. Then plug in 1. If you plug in 1, 2 to the first power is 2 times 1 half. 2 times 1 half is 1. Plug in 2 if you need to. 2 squared is 4. Half of 4 is 2. And then notice the pattern. We're multiplying by 2. Hello, that's what that's for. So you just keep multiplying by 2 there. And then you graph them 0, 1 half, 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 4, 4, 8. And there you go. Number 6, this time they're going to make you graph another steep curve. But the difference is this time they're giving you the recursive. So this says 2 times the previous number. The next number is 2 times the previous number. They're starting in with 0. The 0 term is 0.5. So to get the next one, you do 2 times that one. You do 2 times that. You do 2 times 1. 2 times 2. 2 times 4. Graph them 0.5, 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 4, 4, 8. And you get another steep curve. We're going to skip 7 tomorrow because you did great today. Number 8, they want the sum. That's that big formula. Again, that'll be on the board. You need the first term, which we know. You need R, which is second over first, which is -2. You need N. N means how many numbers there are. There were 7 numbers, so the 7 goes there. Be careful. Punch it all in your calculator. You should get -129. That's how I punched it if you need to see that down there. Number 9, same thing. You know everything. So take the first term, R, you put the second over first, which is -2/3. You know what N is. There are 5 terms. You put a 5 right there. Do a bunch of parentheses. That's how I punched it in. And you should get 110 over 27. 10 and 11, the difference is now you don't know the N. You don't know how many numbers there are. So start off doing what you do know. You do know the first term. You can figure out R. I did up there. It's -3. What you need to figure out is what N is. So you come down here to the other formula. AN means last term. Put it there. A1 means first term. Put it there. R we know. It goes right there. Divide by the first term. Divide by -3. That gives me this. Now to figure out what N is, I'm going to take my calculator and I'm going to keep punching in 3 to 8, 3 to 9. And so I figure out what in the world power 3 is to get to 59,049. Ends up it was a 10th power. Notice I used 11 because to get my exponent to be 10, it's n minus 1. So 11 minus 1 is 10. Did the exact same thing for 11. I knew the first term. I figured out R, so I plugged it in. What I did not know is my N, so I came down here. I don't know if you can see that or not. Came down here, did the other formula, and like that, divided by -12 and got this. Now these are fractions, so the ones were already good. I don't worry about the ones. I'm just trying to figure out how many times 3. 3 to what power? 729. End up being the 8th power, or 6th power. And the reason it was 7 is because 7 minus 1 is 6. Punch it all in, come back up here, put it in, punch it all in, go math frac, change it to a fraction, there's your answer. 12 says simplify. Remember, bottom is the root, top is the power. Bottom is the root, top is the power. So I did 81 to the 1/3 power, 3 to the 2/3 power, because the 2 is the power and the 3 is the root. That's good, but you can't do anything unless they're the same number. We're always going to take the big number and make it smaller. So you take your calculator again. 3 to what power is 81? You keep playing with it. Well, 3 to the 4th was 81. So it's 4/3 because I still got that root. This is 3 to the 2/3. Now when you multiply them, don't multiply your 3's. You add the exponents. 4/3 and 2/3 is 6/3. Don't leave it that way. You know 6/3 is 2 and 3 squared is 9. 13. There's a square root in the equation, so you know that means you got to square both sides to make the square root go away. If you square it the left-hand side, you just get that, the square root goes away. If you square it the right-hand side, you square the first one, you multiply together and double, then you square the 1. Now because you have an x squared, you need everything on the same side, so you take the x over, take the 3 over, subtract them. That's what I get after I subtract. Then I got to factor that, so I'll write 2 parentheses, I put my x's in. I'm trying to think of what 2 factors of -2 would give me a +1, and the answer is a +2 and a -1, so that's why I did that. Then your answers are whatever makes the parentheses 0, which is -2 and 1. The reason I marked out -2 is because it's extraneous. When I plugged -2 on this side, it made it negative, and the square root can equal a negative, so I marked it out. Plug the 1 in back up here. 1 makes it positive, so you're good. 14, graphing a square root graph, which is half of a sideways parabola. As you can tell, one's already drawn on your paper for you. Don't forget your gestures. You're going to go, remember, left 3, down 2. So I went left 3, down 2. That's where I start my graph. There's also a 1/3 inside. Because it's inside, it's a horizontal stretch by the reciprocal. Reciprocal is 3. So I'm going to start here. Instead of going over 1, up 1, I'm going to stretch it by 3 horizontally, so I'll go over 3, up 1. Don't forget your domain and range. Guys, your domain and range come from your beginning point. And that point right there is -3 and -2. Domain is x, range is y. Got it. I think I'll skip 15 right here. Yeah, 15 is right here. Just adding 2 fractions together. You got to find your LCD, so take your 2 denominators, multiply them together, and you get 14xy cubed. Then to fix your numerator, all you do is look at the bottom of this one, look at that denominator, look at this one, and see what it needs. Well, it needs a 2y cubed. So you multiply the top by 2y cubed, and you get 30y to the 4th. Same thing here. Look at what does this one need? Well, it needs a 7x. So multiply the top by 7x, you get 21x squared. You cannot add the tops together, so you're done. That's all you do. That's not bad at all. 16 is division of fractions. Don't forget when you get division, you change it to multiplication. You flip the second one. So I did that first. Then to finish, I got to factor everything. So I factor the top of this one like that. I factor the top of this one with -5 and 2 because it worked. This one, these two are difference of squares. So you just take the square root, put an a and an a and a 2 and a 2. And the 2's are opposite signs because it's a -4. Same thing here, difference of squares, put an a and an a, a +1 and a -1. Then you're just looking for stuff to cancel. And the a plus 1's cancel, the a plus 2's cancel. Guys, your answer is whatever's left that you didn't cancel out. And that's all I did. I just wrote the stuff on the top that was left, wrote the stuff that was on the bottom that was left. 17 and 18 are calculator problems. Punch them in, graph them. You're looking for where it crosses the x-axis because those are the solutions. It looked like it crossed at 5 and -4 and -3. You have to show in your paper, you got to prove that it did, which means you plug it in here and you should get a 0 each time you do that, which that one worked. On 18, it looked like a 1 and a 3 and a 5 worked, so I plugged the 1 in, I got 0. The 3 in, I got 0. The 5 in, I got 0. All 3 answers. 19 says factor completely. First thing you look for when you factor is a GCF. They all have an x, take it out. So I took 1x out of each of those. Don't stop there. Keep trying to factor. So I need factors of 12 that give me a +1. X plus 4, x minus 3. Don't forget to bring down your x, and that's all you can do on that one. 20 is adjust root down 100 times. Small, big, cube root, square. Multiply, change the sign, square. So I did cube root, squared the first one, multiplied those together, change the sign, squared the second one. That last number will always be positive because you're squaring that thing. Number 21. 21, they give you everything. I don't know how you missed this. The center, remember the opposite goes into parentheses. So it's opposite of -5 is +5. The opposite of 3 is -3. They're both squared. Don't forget to square those. Everything in a circle equation is squared. This is 25 because it's r squared. It's radius squared. 22, we've done a bunch of these also. Count your x's. That's 2, 3, 4. There are 4 x's, which means it's even. And it's positive, so both ends are going up. Put your zeros on there. It's going to cross at 4, cross at 1, and cross at 0. Now the neat thing is the 0 has an x squared. It's squared, it's even, which means it's going to bounce. It bounces at 0, goes up, goes back down through the 1, and goes back up through the 4. 23 is a parabola. What you got to do on this one is you got to put your y's in the same parentheses. So I'll put my y's together, move everything else to the other side. Now, once you do that, you need to complete the square, which I did. So I'll take half of 4, which is 2, and I squared it. So I got 4 there, 4 there. I'm kind of messing that up. 2 4s. Over here, remember the half goes inside. That's not too bad. On the right-hand side, you just add the -64 and a 60, and you would be done right there, except you need to get your 4p. 4p is right here in front of your x. So I factored out the 12. That gave me x minus 5. Now your vertex is the opposite of what's inside. 5, 2. So I went to 5, 2. Drew that. It's got to go right because my 4p was with my x, and it was positive, so it goes like the positive x's do. Now, I need the 12 because that's my 4p, so I brought it over here. 4p is 12, so p is 3. So for my vertex, I went right 3 to find my focus and backwards 3 to find my directions. 25, I'll get 24 in just a second. Don't forget that when you graph absolute value, it's a V shape. Do not draw a line on this one. There's a -4 inside, which shifts it right 4. The 3 is outside and front multiplied, which means it's a vertical stretch by 3. So you go, instead of going up 1 over 1, you go up 3 over 1. Up 3 over 1. So let's do it. 24, last one. 2 bars, 2 answers. Move the -4 over. It's +4. Add those, you get 20. Still have a -4 over here, so I divided both sides by -4, and I got this. Now, that's no solution because the absolute value can't be less than -5 because it can't be negative at all. Now, if that had been greater than, it would have been all real solutions because every absolute value is greater than -5. So make sure you look at your sign. No guarantees this absolute value. I mean, it's no solution tomorrow. It may or may not be. Just work it to be sure. All right, hope to help. I'll see you in class tomorrow. Hope you do good. See you then.